YouTube, Pride Time. Checking in for the first time this year. Just want to come on here and make this video. For the most part, I remain quiet on the year, on the season, because for me, honestly, man, I was tired of the noise. I just wanted the Lions to go out there and actually put it all together and get to the Super Bowl. Lions were, I think, top 3 or top 4 teams prior to the start of the season favored to win the Super Bowl. And, I kind of had my reservations on that because of Ben Johnson, the most part. And we see that's coming into effect as far as this offense. This offense has dynamic playmakers on this team. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Laporta, who's on injury reserve as of now, but we definitely got the pieces on this offense to remain dominant. And for some reason, from game to game, we don't know what this offense is going to offer us. Last night against the Eagles, I sat back and watched this offense look so pedestrian, especially in the passing game. It was ridiculous. Dan Campbell. It's enough film on Dan Campbell at this point to know who he is in the biggest of games. I'm not saying Dan Campbell is a bad coach. I've seen Dan Campbell, have great games being called. It's just something about the big game where it's the team that you have to beat in order to position yourself for the Super Bowl, or going back to the NFC Championship game, going back to last year's game. It's just something about that big game that Dan Campbell, for some reason, feel like he can't read the room. Hey, Dan, why are you constantly going for it on 4th downs if after the 2nd and 3rd attempt it's a no-go? Hey, guess what? It'd be one thing if the Eagles' offense was just dominating and just scoring touchdowns like crazy. Guess what? The Eagles scored 16 points yesterday. They had a 7-point lead ahead of you. One score. And we're acting like we're down by 30 plus. What are we doing, Dan? I know your thing is going for on 4th down, but don't you think after the 2nd or 3rd attempt that maybe you might need to trust your defense, who is actually doing a great job on Jalen Hurts that game? This defense, no matter what position you put them in, did what they were supposed to do. Got the Eagles off the field for the most part. And what do? Continue to put them in bad situations, bro. Don't you learn at all? You don't always have to go for it on 4th downs. You are a 4th down crash out. That's what you are, Dan Campbell. And then the play calling. Why are we in short situations not going to David Montgomery? When David Montgomery has been your primary back in those situations for as long as he's been on the team. Never mind the fact that Jared Goff has been rattled. He's being constantly pressured. Even on plays where he's not being touched, he looks like he's about to take a sack. And so he just throws some bullshit pass at someone's feet or behind them. In those situations, take the ball out of Jared Goff's hands and put it into your playmaker's hand. Demo. No, you don't do that. At this point, we know who Dan Campbell is, man. And it sucks. Moving on from Dan Campbell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, bruh. I have not seen Amon-Ra St. Brown look this pedestrian ever since he been on this team. Where has Amon-Ra St. Brown been, bro? Bro has dropped so many passes this year. It's crazy. It's like ever since that Kansas City game, he just lost his swag. Where is that dog? I'm not seeing that with Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. Brad Holmes, bro. Your last two drafts, when you're not drafting in the first round or early in the first round, early in the second round, when you're not getting those type of picks, hey, bro, you ain't putting nobody on this team that's a hit. Now I do understand we got some rookies on this team, Tyreek Williams, Tate Ratliff. They cutting their teeth. They trying to going through the the rookie pains. I get it, but bro, you ain't really been hitting them home runs in these last two drafts, Brad, bro. And then you go and you trade 3 third-round picks for a guy who don't really even see the field. Man, this shit ain't looking good on you. Look at all the third-round picks. That was a complete miss. Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, project offensive lineman. Like, what are we doing, Brad? Y'all want to praise him? Cool. He deserves it when he deserves it. But when he deserves the flack, you got to give him that smoke. And then you got the audacity to have this lackluster free agency and then don't even talk about the trade deadline. Mr. We're good. All this bragging about AQM in the beginning when everything was all fresh and new. Now that teams have seen this guy and know what he's capable of, where is he now? The conclusion I'm at with this team, y'all, we're good enough to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. The Redskins, the Giants. But the teams that actually are going to stand in our way of actually getting to that goal of winning the Super Bowl, we're not going to beat those teams. All on the simple fact that your general manager thought that a guy in Jared Goff who actually needs a top offensive line to be productive. The fact that you didn't try to build this off, continue to build on this offensive line is a huge failure on your part. Y'all knew every year it was this. What's Frank Ragnar gonna do? He's always hurt. Is he going to retire? You know all this. We're not good enough, y'all. We're not good enough to win a Super Bowl. Hell, we're not even. We're fighting to win the fucking division. We're in the Chicago Bears of all teams are in the first place in this division. Hey, when I told everybody that this division was closer than you thought, and this is before this year, I said the Lions, they not going to have a cakewalk for very long. The last 2 years, you had perfect and ample opportunity to capitalize. We couldn't do it. So guess what now? The Bears, they have talent. They have Caleb Williams is starting to look a little bit better. Once he really puts it together, oh boy. The Vikings, JJ Redick ain't who we thought he is, but let them mess around and find someone who's competent at that position. This is why it's so important that you have to strike when the iron is hot. And Mr. Brad Holmes, Mr. We're Good, simply is content on just being that good. Not great. That's my opinion. Very frustrating with this team. Knowing the opportunities we had and not capitalizing on it, it sucks. Now, injury did play a part. We were missing a lot of guys out to injury. But even with all that, like I said, this Eagles team just, they weren't great. They were very beatable, and we still lost. I'm speechless, man. But I had to come on here and drop a video because I know it's been a long time. So whatever y'all thought about the game, please go ahead and say it in the comments. I do respond to my comments, and we'll see where we goes from here. But my honest opinion, after 11 weeks, I think this team is a average to above, a slightly above average team, and the Super Bowl hopes, at least for this season, I'm putting at the bed. This team just ain't good enough. All right, I'm out.